Finally, he got round to it. Amidst the hard referendum campaigning, the softer questions had surrounded the Ice Bucket Charity Challenge, and when Alex Salmond would step up and kneel down. With a cry of "Go Scotland," he duly obliged. It was a light-hearted break from the serious Sunday business of the referendum campaign. Not that that was far away. In every corner of Scotland, the big vote was the big story. The day before Alex Salmond features in his next TV spectacle. The second televised debate with Alistair Darling, the former Chancellor, and his pro-union opponent. The rest of Britain can tune into this one, along with the Scots.
I'd like to see them behave themselves, not like before.
I think it's asking too much for that to influence many people. I think many people have made up their mind.
The questions haven't been answered by Salmond, I feel. I'm still a bit undecided, to be honest. A lot depends on what's said tomorrow.
Opponents of independence are laying the ground for another TV assault on Alex Salmond's currency plans. Shadow Chancellor Ed Balls telling The Observer, "I fear that an independent Scotland would end up finding that joining the euro would be the least worst of all the bad options. I'm not surprised at all that Alex Salmond doesn't want to admit it now, but joining the euro would likely be his only realistic plan B."
Alex Salmond has to tell us what their currency plan B is. The currency union's off the table. Everyone's saying it's off the table because it's not in Scotland's interest. It's not in the rest of the United Kingdom's interest.
Postal ballot papers are being sent out this week, and so voting is about to begin. Backers of independence say the Shadow Chancellor's talk of Scotland joining the euro is euro trash.
I think the scare stories are starting to bite them in the ankle. After all, it's the past year and a half we've been told that Scotland wouldn't even be in Europe. I am assuming he now concedes that we will be and is no longer saying we'd be forced to join the euro, as he said before, or indeed taking the line of Alistair Darling that a currency union would be desirable and logical.
Alex Salmond watched his deputy Nicola Sturgeon follow him in the Ice Bucket Challenge and nominated Prime Minister David Cameron to get in over his head too. The afternoon temperature might have briefly plummeted. In the referendum debate, it's going the other way fast. James Matthews, Sky News, Edinburgh.
No confusion as to the message coming from the Yes camp, with over 1 million now proclaiming their support online, including, well, the Proclaimers. They remain certain of success come September, even if others fear what might follow for the economy. Douglas Flint, the chairman of HSBC, writes in The Telegraph, "The transition from the existing currency union would be complex and fraught with danger. At the extreme, uncertainty over Scotland's currency arrangements could prompt capital flight from the country, leaving its financial system in a powerless state."
And this is about the people of Scotland. It's their mortgages, it's their livelihoods, it's their savings, it's their jobs. And the chairman of HSBC is absolutely right to intervene in that debate if there's something catastrophic that could happen to Scotland's economy as a result. That's responsible and pragmatic, rather than a pipe dream on Alex Salmond's dogma for independence.
There's a growing list of big names who've raised concerns: pensions and insurance companies, Standard Life, drawing up contingency plans in the event of a yes vote, possibly involving a move south. Financial services giant Aegon also considering relocation. The Royal Bank of Scotland warns that independence could have a material adverse effect. On the pro side, Ralph Topping, the former boss of bookmakers William Hill, has backed a yes vote, whilst others remain neutral. Drinks company Diageo, which controls 40% of Scotch whisky production, says it's here to stay, whatever the outcome. For those seeking independence, this is clearly not a helpful intervention by the HSBC chairman, and there will be those within the Yes camp who'd like nothing more than for Mr Flint to walk 500 miles off the nearest cliff. Still, it's not immediately obvious that voters are being swayed by all this talk of fiscal policy, monetary policy, currency union and the like.
Presume the flag's the Saltire. I assume our capital will still be Edinburgh, but you can't tell us what currency we'll have. What's an 8-year going to make of that?
Alistair Darling was widely held to have landed a few currency punches in the TV debate, yet the polls afterwards showed little change, and Mr Salmond actually won when it came to undecideds.
Scotland will use the pound after a yes vote. I think there will be stability throughout the whole system. One of the reasons that the Governor of the Bank of England spoke out so clearly the other week was to reassure people that in the aftermath of the referendum there will be continuity, there will be stability.
Yes is gaining in the polls, but with over 4 million on the electoral register, it'll be thanks a bunch if more don't turn out. Neil Patterson, Sky News, Edinburgh.